Hello, friends. It's Rob. We're on the home stretch of Act 1 here. Only 5 more chapters before we close the book on this part of the story. Pretty wild. As always, you can help support us at patreon.com/plugandhum. And finally, stick around after today's episode for a trailer from the Godfrey Audio Guide podcast. Enjoy. Welcome back to Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 1, Chapter 31. We pick up in the aftermath of the battle for the chapel. Over in the entrance hall, Gull is fine, but Grip is charred head to toe with electricity burns, and he reeks of ozone and burnt orc hair. Back near the chapel, amidst the cluster of folks desperately trying to reattach Bates's nose to his face, Dora is catching her breath from all the running back and forth, not to mention maybe some early onset filth fever exhaustion. Ray is on his feet now, but still racked with the lingering pain from his near-death experience, not to mention the too vivid dream of slowly torturing Tolman to death that he had while he was unconscious. He's still a little wobbly. Everyone, in fact, is wobbly. Everyone's panting. There are dead rats everywhere. Burned rats, crushed rats, charred ratlings pin-cushioned with crossbow bolts, blood all over the place. But in the middle of everyone, I think Bates kind of sums up the mood here. Yes, he's clutching his mangled face, trying to help stop the bleeding, but the kid's also kind of smiling through a mouthful of blood, and he's not alone. In a brutal adventure like this, you don't often get to simply take a win and clap yourselves on the back, but y'all did it. You pulled together, the survivors stepped up, they proved to be more than equal to the challenge. There were some real acts of heroism, and even some of the folks that might have been the first to be discounted, some of them ended up saving the day. And I think everyone feels that. It's one of our last days of Act 1 here. If it's not the last day, it's probably the penultimate day. And at this moment, after that hard-fought victory, let's just take a look around at this collection of folks, at this group of people that comprises nearly your entire world for now, and really picture them in your mind's eye. Jared Torgrith. He's from a family of farmers. They needed extra money, so he came here alone to work as a gardener and send back what he could. Erwin Savoya was, as we've heard, on the cleaning staff. We know about her mom and her sister and her nephew. She sends them money as well. It's a similar situation with Denman Winoporis. Faustin York is a second son, so, you know. He was working here as a resume-building exercise between his military career and the lofty political ambitions he has, none of which will probably come to pass, because, second son. Nasa Wallaka wasn't a pirate, but she did come from a small fishing village further south along the coast of Lake Carthen, and she does know her way around a boat from her years before becoming a nurse. Tolman Laolis was another second son. His father gave him away to the paladins of Shaylin in order to, and I use air quotes here, make a man out of him. He loved the art, but despised the violence, and so he ran away, eventually finding a home here as a nurse. And then there's the patients. Loic Alsonen was once a cobbler. He was committed many years ago by a woman named Sally Sparhawk after an injury that resulted in significant brain trauma. Sally still visits once every year when the spring rains begin to fall. Danae Folks was admitted by her husband Victor after suffering what he called, more ironic air quotes here, a hysterical breakdown following the stillbirth of her child. Yeah, he pretty obviously just wanted to get rid of her, and he had the money to make it happen. Maeve Kostenbaugh was abandoned here by her mother. This is the only home she knows. Brenton Leekland was very recently committed with his twin brother Debus after their parents were slaughtered by bandits right in front of him on the highway south of Rosenport. And something your characters don't know and the survivors don't know, maybe they never will, we'll see. Mura and Bates have the same surname, Yapchik. It turns out they were both committed by the same person, a man named Horace Yapchik. Mura was committed decades ago because of her mutism. Bates, not long ago, because of his seizures. The staff always believed both conditions to be the result of abuse. But because they were admitted in different decades and treated by different doctors in different wings, no one has ever put together that they are siblings. And I bring up these details, even though your characters don't know them. I bring them up because all of these people in the background, they are what's truly at stake in the story we're ultimately going to be telling here. We're going to keep continuing to get wrapped up in the successes and failures and squabbles of the characters you've created, of course, and we're going to cheer for them and cringe for them and maybe even mourn for them. But ultimately, their struggles will only be as real and as meaningful as our sense of the stakes of the world they inhabit. You will ultimately be fighting, whether your characters know it or not, to protect a world of people that we're only just starting to flesh out together. And they all have stories. That orderly in the East Ward storage closet who had her face ripped off, her name was Danetta Hobbs. The fox Doris calling Reynard has a story. Winter had a ton of backstory, which we may or may not ever learn, but she did travel here from Califest with a group of folks who might know it. And there's the people of nearby Thrushmore, who we haven't even met yet. They all have stories. From the woman who runs the detective agency, to the lonely soul down by the docks catching and releasing the rats that the town can't quite ever get rid of. So many stories. And that's what we're here for, really, rolling dice, telling stories. I spent a bunch of time this past week thinking about how much I miss one thing we often do together in some of our other campaigns, which is to share character flashbacks as a means of building out the context of our world in a more player-driven way. Now, obviously, the way we're doing this campaign means it's not really practical, for now at least, for you all to write your own flashbacks for Ray or Grip or Dora or Gull, because you don't yet have your memories. But I got to thinking about all the hard work we've been putting in on everyone's backup characters. The replacements that will be conscripted to jump in should any of your original PCs die. And I'm thinking about using some time in Act 2 to have you flesh out those people's stories in the background while your main characters are going about their business to keep building out the world. But to do that, first of all, we have to introduce those background characters, which I've decided to do. Not all at once, and certainly not even all of them in Act 1. And we're definitely not going to talk about character classes and crunchy stuff. But we're going to kick off with one reveal today in the upswell after the last battle, and we're going to start with Johnny's backup character, who we've been developing together since I checked the emails right after we recorded Chapter 10. So Johnny, standing here in the aftermath of all this mayhem, what does your alternate character, Bates, say next?
What?
Holding the dead ratling in his hand, his nose having just dropped out of its mouth, and people trying to, stuff things into the hole in his face where his nose used to be. He's kind of grinning, slightly delirious from blood loss, and he looks over at Maeve and goes, "Who's the nosy one now?" And then falls down.
I just want to say I called this when I ordered the party to take Bates with them when we leave next time instead of me.
And like I said, we're not going to talk about what character class he has, and there is no reason your actual characters would consider him to be a combatant at this point. If Bates should need to be taken into this party, it will be very clear because something will happen. But at this moment, we're going to start letting Johnny run Bates as we are back in the chapel here. If any of you happen to catch the annoyingly large amount of hit points this second-level commoner seemed to have in this little sheet last time, that's why. And why he could take 9 points of damage, I think it was, from
it was a lot of
from
damage.
A sneak-attacking invisible rattling and still survive.
But Dora did do that prognostication on Bates.
Yep.
He is a commoner.
He
According
was
to you.
at that
Was
moment.
at that moment.
And you agree with the Haley Joel Osment casting?
So I'm not going to say anything about what he is or will be or anything like that, but I had an idea for a backup character, and I went to Rob and basically pitched it and said, I have this idea, and I think that the character could be Bates. And he was like, yes.
So you inherited Haley Joel Osment.
I did.
Yes.
I inherited that, yeah.
Yeah, when I described it the first time, I had no idea I was describing potentially Johnny's future character.
That is marvelous. Well done.
Beautiful.
So, at the moment, we know that Grip is incredibly injured, and Ray is very injured. Bates is down 9 hit points, Nace is down 4, Denman's down 4, Valston's down 6. There's a whole lot of bleeding going on.
I'm down 4.
Oh, are you as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Bates is bleeding, so
Yeah.
Bleeding, yeah.
Yes.
critical.
So Ray's gathering the wounded towards him. I think we can all go back into the chapel.
Great, yes.
Yeah. Is Bates conscious?
Bates is still conscious. The little kid's got a lot of hit points, but
Okay.
he's still bleeding.
He's flavor fall down on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maeve is kind of like kicking him with the foot to make sure he's still alive.
I don't get to be in charge of Maeve anymore.
Totally. Do it.
Ray.
Because I think Maeve
did she
is
say?
like, fix him. Somebody fix him.
Yeah, Ray kneels
upset.
down and offers a hand to Bates and says, grinning close, face to face with him,
Yes.
those scars are going to look real good on you, Bates. Nice job. And help him up.
Yeah.
Okay. And once everyone's together, going to channel positive energy, probably a couple times.
Yeah, we'll see.
Double 8s.
Wow.
So that's 16 for
Oh,
everybody.
but channeling is 6s.
2d6. Damn it.
Take
I
12.
was like,
Take
is that a
12.
thing?
Can I take 12?
Take 12.
I mean, double 8s. That's
Yeah,
I mean,
take
double
it.
8s
Go ahead
is
and
so
take
rare.
it. So everybody heals 12 hit points. That will
Dora's good.
cover all the NPCs.
I swear I didn't know, guys. What game are we playing?
We've all done it.
Yeah, we have. So it sounds like everybody's probably fine except for Grip. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, now I'm down 11.
Okay, I'm going to do another one.
You took a lot of damage.
And this is for anyone who needs it. That's another 6.
That puts me at 32 of 37.
And everybody else is totally healed at this point.
Okay.
What?
So many hit
So
points.
many hit points.
It's a little disgusting.
God, that's a lot of hit points.
You down a bunch is still more than twice me at full.
So everybody has gathered over there, but I think that Gulliver
Yeah.
did not gather. I think that he has stayed over near the body of Ratch Mamby.
Yeah.
And he has stuck his dagger through him.
Yeah.
And he's walked over to where the flaming rat pile is, and he's cooking a little piece of him and takes a bite out of him. He's like, I told you I eat you first.
It's disgusting.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up, man.
Dora is
Legit. Give
Yeah.
me a fortitude save.
All right. Disease?
Yes,
All right. I'll do it.
I hope you get a disease.
I do too.
Let's see.
Eat a rattling
That's going to be
over the fire. Of
15.
Okay. You don't catch filth fever. As much as I wish you did.
Dora is she's not feeling great, but she is gathering anybody who is available to look at the Desna statue to see what can be done, if it can be
Yes.
mended, if it can be replaced.
So as you look at it, it seems as though only a little piece of one of the butterfly wings broke off. Ray is able to cast detect magic and verify that statue was not broken. The magic is still functional. It might have only taken one more hit like it took before breaking, but at the moment, it is still safe to sleep in the sanctuary for these folks.
That's good.
Ray wants to check in with Tolman and Brenton. This dream that you described is... Ray's wondering if he's coming unhinged, but he feels drawn towards especially the youngest, and to check in and see what their emotional state is like. How's it going, guys? What's going on over here? How are you doing?
Brenton has relit his shadow lantern in the corner there, and he's watching the birds. You get a sense of someone who is now developed a little routine for himself when something terrible happens. Perhaps his therapy was tied up somehow. Maybe both of their therapies were tied up somehow with his shadow lantern and him kind of pulling his head out of the place he's in and letting it go somewhere else for the moment. So he's kind of watching the birds in silence. And Tolman, who, oh boy, so his experience was standing back there trying to protect one child while the other two children he was supposed to protect ran out into the middle of the fight and then killed a bunch of ratlings. I think he's pretty shaken. You know, he left a life of violence behind him specifically. Yeah. He wanted nothing to do with it. And I think he is probably just collapsed down on the floor next to Brenton watching the birds. And he says, I don't know how long we can do this, Ray.
I have a feeling it won't be much longer. Brenton, may I ask you about your lantern?
What you want to know?
Did you and your brother look at this lantern together?
Yeah, this was our lantern.
Was it peaceful for both of you when you got here to have the lantern with you?
Yeah, a little more peaceful for Debus. But yeah. It was my dad's.
Did you have other toys?
Oh, I had so many toys. We had a neat little room we shared together. Yeah. And we had chalks and we had paints. And I had little toy knights. And I had a little toy griffin.
I have a fondness for griffins myself.
Somehow I knew you might.
I think we might have met the ghost of your brother.
Debus is dead?
I believe so, Brenton.
Well, everyone dies.
It's true.
I think Tolman just starts crying.
Dora's nearby, just nodding. Yes, they do. Everyone
Stroking the
dies.
fox.
I think when we talked to your brother really briefly, his ghost was looking for birds. Do you think he meant this lantern?
I think he did.
Because I think we found the knights. And I think those are for you.
You found the knights?
Mr. Gull has them.
Where's Mr. Gull? Is he eating a diseased rat?
He's eating a diseased rat cooked over the flames of burning rat.
That sounds like a silly thing to do, but...
Mr. Gull is a silly man. Slightly unpredictable.
Wow.
Can I see him?
Yeah, when Mr. Gull gets back here, we'll make sure that he comes over to show you these, and then maybe we could take the lantern to give to your brother.
And I can be a knight, like Maeve.
That's right.
Maeve is like running victory circles around.
Carrying the limbs of dismembered ratlings.
Yeah, I have a question about what, I love this scene. What is going on in the mid? Is this sort of like chaos where people are like huddled in groups?
I think that the gathering to heal is where most people probably settled in. You've got the various nurses checking in on the other folks there. I think there's a little bit of clapping on the back and good job and I can't believe we survived that going on there. And I think they're sticking together as a team with this this exception of go ahead.
While all the milling about is happening, I will as I pass by Denman in Orcish, I will just say, well, the good thing about this fucking world is there's a chance to smash something in the face at any given minute if you're patient, lad.
When that happens, Dora, who is focus is elsewhere, but hears that, responds in Orcish.
What?
Yes, that's quite true.
Gull comes strolling over the barricade chewing a piece of rattling.
Man.
God, that's so gross.
That's right.
What?
Everyone's talking in Orcish now.
Everyone speaks fucking Orcish then?
It's so easy to pick up.
Well,
it really makes sense in a sort of musical but not musical way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you live near Belkson, everyone's got to speak that language. And And really, there's only a couple of sounds to it, right? I mean, it's pretty easy. They're not very smart, but...
Bit guttural.
yeah.
I
But
felt
otherwise,
pretty
quite simple.
pleased when I realized I could speak it. Thank you very much.
My intelligence only allows for so many
I
languages.
mean, it's true.
As you're coming back in, Gull, I will remind you, just because it's been a long time since we've described Rachmambi, but he is wearing that spectacular red cape and that pigeon feather vest as well. He has a bunch of stuff on him, and it looks like he's wearing some jewelry in as well.
I have probably taken those things off, so there's just like, a bit of Rachmambi, but the stuff I just have with me.
You're not eating the vest.
No, I might be using it like as a little kerchief or maybe wiping my mouth with it.
As you're coming in and Ray is able to, we can sort of combine this with you checking to make sure that the statue is fine. It does indeed turn out that Rachmambi's cloak is another cloak of protection +1. Huzzah! And also the little brooch he uses to keep it closed.
Protection or resistance?
Resistance, sorry. Cloak of resistance +1. And the little brooch he uses to keep it closed is also radiating magic.
May I wear that cloak?
I think it would look beautiful on you, Dora.
Thank you.
Natural 18 on the spellcraft. +7 is a 25.
This is a brooch of shielding. It is used to absorb magic missiles.
Would have been really nice for Ray to have had that.
Sure would have. So when they are made, they're able to absorb up to 101 points of damage from magic missiles before it melts and becomes useless. This one has 82 points left.
Who was casting magic missiles at Rachmambi, I wonder?
Exactly.
Gull has the little brooch and stuff, and he looks to Ray and he goes, "Here you go, Ray," and he flips it to him like a coin in the air. Think you need this?
Well, actually, what do you think, Grip?
What slot does that take?
That's a neck slot item, so I think we're down to
I'm
Ray being
taking
the
my
only one
natural
left.
armor. I'm going to
No,
keep
Ray
that.
is wearing the
Warrior's Courage.
Warrior's Courage talisman and the Featherfall one.
He did take it for that fight. Was that a permanent pass-off?
I think I'd rather have the talisman if you would like the brooch, but it's, 6 of 1.
Why don't you take the talisman?
Great, thank you.
Talismans, right? Still
Yes.
2 left, great.
Talisman.
Hello.
Wordplay.
And I'll take the brooch. And what's the brooch called again?
Brooch of shielding. 82 points remaining.
While things are sort of wrapping up and
Yeah.
we're starting to kind of go back to routine and figure out what's next, Dora will start asking around if anyone knows of someone named Bryn, a patient, or anyone who has been at Briarstone in any capacity.
Sounds like someone a pirate nurse would know about, doesn't it?
I mean, probably the first stop.
Yes, Neza does know Bryn. Sad kid. Well, he just couldn't stop losing weight. And no matter how much he ate, no matter what we did, he couldn't stop losing weight. And they couldn't quite figure out what was going on with him. And he would disappear into this place filled with, with dryads and unicorns and the like, and he created this whole other fantasy world for himself where he was the hero of it whilst he was dying. It's a really terribly sad kid, beautiful boy, sweet boy, but very troubled, very, very distant.
I'm putting a mind of that Sandman comic by Neil Gaiman with the Barbie in Barbie's fantasy world. Doesn't help me figure out how to solve that haunt, though, but...
How long ago did he die? Bryn.
Oh, I mean, he was alive before all this started.
No, Nisa, I'm sorry. He's passed. We saw his body. And
Was he
his
eaten by the
unicorn.
ghouls? You what? Oh, no, wait. I'm one of the 2 leaders now. You would have told me about the unicorn, so I know
Yes.
about that. The unicorn was Bryn's. Oh, I should have figured that out. Oh, I had so much on my mind.
It's been a day.
There were rattlings attacking you, so you're forgiven.
And you've got filth fever, so there's that too.
Oh, yes, you do.
Do we want to make some heal checks to verify for fact?
That they have filth fever.
I mean,
Sure.
We
Dora
know,
knows.
but let's make sure the characters
Dora
know.
would like to know. If
Ooh, natural
Reynard-
17 on the die.
All right,
Plus,
so Gull sees the early signs. They are both latent.
What about Reynard?
Reynard does not have filth fever.
Yay.
I think I rolled like
Dora-
an 18 or 19.
Dora's
check.
very brightened by that.
so while they're latent, they don't have
No
the-
penalty.
Nothing yet.
So we need to strike while the iron is hot
Yes.
before
Yep.
bad things happen.
Yep.
To the tower, I think. Though we had discussed taking an 8-hour stretch now for any
Doing
projects.
downtime first?
Yeah, talking about doing.
We could do that. We could do some counseling with Tolman, do some one last bit of training. Wanna
That
do
seems like a good idea. Well, and this little chunk of,
And to not run off from the survivors immediately in the aftermath of that
Yes.
attack.
Hang out for 8 hours and continue
Yeah.
the conversations. And
Gull, during this time, Gull would make a point of stopping over to give the toy knights to Brenton.
he is very excited to get them, and he immediately takes them to Maeve, who it seems like he kind of idolizes a little bit, even though she's kind of shitty to him, treats him like a little brother, right? He's very happy to have the toys back, parts with the Shadow Lantern, in the way that, we're all going to die eventually, so what do material possessions matter? Which seems a little disturbing to watch a kid feel that way about it, but that's what he does.
And Maeve is a princess, so having knights.
Yes, she's got her tiara.
Yes.
I love it. Love it.
So I will put Shadow Lantern
Yep.
in the handy haversack.
Fantastic.
Sweet.
So then we're going to use the next 8-hour stretch. Just mechanically speaking, Gull will be able to get one more day of training towards his feat retraining. That's day 3, right, Johnny?
Yes.
Yes. And Katie's going to get some Dora's going to get some counseling from Tolman. Here we go.
I mean, I'll take it too. But I think she comes at it like, let's help each other. He's had a traumatic experience here.
Yeah, love it. 15 on the die.
Tolman is like a master counselor.
Dora is at 0 sanity damage. And at the end of this 8-hour counseling session, Katie, I think part of how Tolman uses this stretch of time is to very subtly call out the fact that this fox does not actually seem to be listening to you or really paying attention to you at all, beyond clinging to you for physical comfort, but that there is no exchange of information going on between the two. In fact, the fox seems to almost be stuck in a world of its own. And by the end of that period of time, you find that, for the moment at least, you actually don't need to carry a fox with you every second of the day. I mean, should you take any more, here's how I'm going to run the dormancy for you.
Great.
You don't need a fox, but once you're no longer dormant, you're going to have to hold a fox that Dora thinks is Reynard. That could be this fox, that could be another fox that you find somewhere else, but if she doesn't, she's going to be perpetually shaken.
Got it.
Wow.
But she's fine right now. She can leave the fox behind if she wishes,
Yes.
or carry it with,
I mean-
continue to carry it as a crutch.
I think there's no need to put another creature in danger. And perhaps some of these children would do well to have something to take care of, don't you think?
I think that would be the case. Yes, it would certainly give them a place to focus their energies.
So Dora nods and goes to find Grip to undo the knot he put in.
You didn't tell me I'd have to untie it.
Well, what did you think?
I just was told to tie it tight.
She does want it untied because there is a certain unwillingness to sort of completely let go. She wants that harness that was created available.
Gonna keep the harness.
And to keep it with
But
her.
gonna leave the fox here. As you willingly set the fox down for the first time, you see it kind of wobble on its feet a little bit. It looks around and, it was doing this kind of weird head shaking thing when you first found it. It seems clear-eyed, but it then immediately goes back and leans against your leg and whimpers.
No, it has the same problem you had. It needs you.
I think she is going to take him again,
Okay.
but hands free. like a real Bjorn, whatever thing we were calling it.
Yeah.
Where the purpose of building it the original way was so that she could hang on to it and it would be very difficult for her to untie.
Yeah.
This is simply to keep it close to her for its own sake.
Great.
But that her hands would be free.
Yep.
Because she is touched by this thing that is afraid.
Yeah.
And
seems to need her for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, in the long run, she'll find a way to transfer that to someone else for part of the day. She's thinking, I don't know how long we're going to be here, but she can acclimate him over time to get him used to.
Great. That seems to soothe him. Any other little activities we want to take care of in this chunk of time, or are we heading out?
Bates would probably very strongly argue that he should be on barricade duty.
I think Rustin hands him a crossbow.
Yeah.
He runs off going, Maeve, I got my own crossbow.
Where's my crossbow? This is so unfair.
I killed just as many ratlings as Bates did.
I burned him. My thing was less boring. Come on, Brenton. Takes him off in the corner to play knights and princess.
So, 2 options. The tower or Brenton.
So are we assuming?
I'm sorry, Debus.
Are we assuming the 8 hours has happened and
Yes.
any healing might have happened? So I'm back to full.
This is during
This
the
is
day,
just
so healing has to
midday.
be active healing.
Okay.
Although I could take the time to do
Absolutely.
a heal check and try to heal up my good friend Grip.
I mean, if we're talking about going to the tower, I feel like I should be at full.
Absolutely, and this is a way to use resources that are not magical and
Yeah.
take an hour rather than
Yeah.
a long time. Although that might not do it. Let's see, that's a
To get a guidance.
15, 16.
Guidance would be totally fair, so add 1.
That's a
Zoom, says Paul.
16, and I'm going to go ahead and blow 1 point of
You do know the DC is 20. Yeah.
inspiration. Yep,
Got it?
21.
So, Robert, that is 3 more hit points for Grip.
Are you feeling comfortable at 35?
Hey, I don't think we need the sass. Do you want your meat shield beefy, or do you not want your meat shield
I
beefy?
do. The best place for hit points is in the bodies of your party.
Yes, exactly.
All right, yeah, yes, I do feel pretty good at 35.
All right. Yeah, we managed to get. I was marveling as that very long multi-session fight was happening, how well all of you that have expendable resources were doing at hanging on to those resources. So you actually are pretty well situated to do an adventuring day here, despite a major fight in the morning.
I spent 1 more spell than I wanted to, and we'll have to spend another to use mage armor, but I'm going to hold off on that till we're closer to wherever we're going.
So what's the plan then? We're heading up to the Northwest Tower. Is that the idea?
Via the records room.
We're going to stop by the records room, okay?
And Gulliver suggests that we actually just case the library on the way through to make sure that there's nothing else that Ratchmanby
The nest.
left behind.
Oh, the library, the room that they came out of with the hole and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to make sure there's not someone else with a cutesy little name waiting for us.
Jimmy Jumbletoes.
Brittany Bimblepop.
So, let's lay this out here. As you step back into the library outside of the pressure of combat, and you get a look around at what has happened here. How many books have been eaten? How many books have been destroyed? On the day when you agreed as a party that it would be fun if the Ratlings ate books after you read them, I was like, okay, awesome. I'm going to roll die 10 here to see how many knowledge points this library you cannot ever get. So the consequence of that is, luckily I rolled low enough that you only lost 1 chunk of knowledge, but you quickly figure out you have done what you can in this library.
Great.
Whatever else there was left to learn, it has been lost.
And the fox is currently with you, or we
With
left
me.
left him
But
when
I'm
we
not
left? Okay.
holding him.
He's-
I'm not.
Fully borned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just curled up. If he chooses to jump out, like
Oh, you want to give him a chance to do that?
if yeah.
Yeah, I think when you get to the library, which is a space he knows very well and is comfortable in, and it's clear to him that you're not trying to leave him,
Yeah.
he'll follow very closely at your heels like a familiar might.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, she'll tuck away the Bjorn and
great.
hope that he stays out of trouble.
Bjorn is in your filthy linen sack from chapter 2, and the fox is at your heels.
Aww.
Nothing to discover inside the ratling's nests, and as you investigate that hole in the, what am I calling the room with the hole, it looks as though it had been a chasm that had gone down pretty deeply, but as you shine a light down there, you can tell that the most recent shifting of the creature below the earth had kind of sealed that entire, they had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So they had a home underground that they would come up here to, steal stuff from and do all their little business, but they actually had lives in a home under the asylum. That is...
Don't try to make us feel bad for them.
Oh, I'm actually not. I'm just filling in the story.
Diaries of
Their
their
lives and
dreams.
families.
Yes. You find all their children.
They just closed on
and
a
the
mortgage.
children's diaries.
Now that Dora's hands are free, she will carry her crystal with her at all times.
Great.
So that's light for people in the back.
For the humans that need
And
it.
also, you can use it when you need to telekinetically fling something. You just throw the...
No. It does damage to the thing as well as the thing it hits.
And then you wanted to stop in the records room. And what's your goal there?
Gulliver wants to look up and see if there's any information to be had about the bag lady.
I love it. Let's see. We've spent a lot of time in this room. Give me some intelligence checks. Everybody add 5, I think, from your familiarity with this space here.
Nope.
I rolled a natural 20.
It's always grip. It's always grip.
That's hilarious.
28.
I got a 22.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't mean to steal your thunder, but I had a plus 9
it's
to
a natural
that roll.
20 for a 19, so...
I love that Grip's like, here.
Yeah, this is like Gull's mission. Like, all right, where should we start? All 3 of you walk immediately over to where it is and pick it up.
And Gull is also kind of like remembering the last time he was back in this room.
Yeah.
And how... and he's also remembering... He's remembering how everybody sort of turned against him then. And he's...
Okay, yeah.
And he's thinking about how this morning he tried to do something where he tried to again put himself out there.
Yeah.
And his voice in the back of his head said, "Hide yourself." And he's just kind of looking around and just kind of letting other people take the lead.
Love it. You find in the records for Agra Loomis that she is susceptible to hypnosis to the effect that over a long period of time, Dr. Chawar apparently embedded a trigger phrase in her subconscious, kind of like a Winter Soldier sort of thing. And this one is designed, though, to flood her with calm to counteract her aggression. It appears, as you're first looking at this trigger phrase, it first looks like, so say, Grip and Ray are looking at it, and it looks just like a long jumble of nonsense syllables that you'd have no idea how to pronounce correctly. But when Dora looks at it, she learns that she's fluent in the Hallit tongue, the language of the barbarians on the north of the continent. The language doesn't really have a written version so much, so it's typically spelled out phonetically in either Taldane or Varisian or Skald, depending on the region. As it turns out, very much like the Winter Soldier activation trigger, to be a long string of nouns in a very specific order. So it will function for anyone that speaks Hallit, which in this party is only Dora. It functions similar to an evil eye hex on Agra Loomis. It's a standard action to use. She has to be able to hear you, though not see you necessarily. And it will apply a -2 penalty on your choice. Her AC, attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks for 1d4 rounds. No save.
Oh, man.
Yep.
1d4 rounds?
Yeah.
And is it the sort of thing where you can do it over
Exactly.
and over?
Anytime you want to do it.
over.
And you can even, and I'll just say, like, you can stack rounds of the same thing on top of itself even. It's specifically designed for her. She doesn't get a save, and it's supposed to work. It's just short term because she's powered by so much rage, you know.
How do you spell Hallit?
Hallit.
And when
Is that my last language?
Nope, there's one more to come.
Yay. I love that.
Bag lady, huh?
Yep, the infamous serial killer from Rosenport. All right, so you got your little trigger phrase. Now the decision to be made. How do we get to the Northwest Tower, knowing full well, you would certainly understand by this point, that there's going to be a unicorn there again today. If you go out the exact same place, every time you've gone out that window or approached that window, the unicorn has appeared.
Okay, knowing what we've learned about Bryn
Yeah.
and his fantasy world, or what have you, and how difficult it is to convince the unicorn to leave you alone, is there any other check to be made about what we could do to appease it, other than a diplomacy check? Like,
Yeah, I will,
sense motive or...
as you all are talking this through as you're traveling up to that area, I'll take another knowledge religion check here.
21.
Oh, great.
16.
Gull's immediate thought is, if there's a body, let's try to bury it. Like so often, if there is an actual corporeal body associated with these haunts, there's kind of two fail-safes, burn it or bury it, and the first thought would usually be to try to bury it, very much like a supernatural. That's usually the first sort of go-to.
And what I saw near the body,
Yeah.
which I share with everyone, we don't have a shovel, obviously, and burying a body would take time. Would covering it with something do, if it was ceremonial or ritualistic?
Gull would imagine that in lieu of burying it, perhaps some sort of official rite of passage might do as well.
I think trying to end this haunt is worth the effort.
Ray says that he
I know
could.
you're probably hesitant to even go out there again, Gull.
Yeah, I think we should shoot that thing from the window.
If we shoot the unicorn and kill it, it comes back, right? I can redo the ceremony that I did for Winter, like a truncated version of it.
Yeah, but we still have to get down there, and that thing is going to try to gore you while you do that.
Yes. Let's try to kill it from the window, which will give us enough time to bury it. We'll still have to worry about the night gaunt or to perform a ceremony. I just don't know if it needs to be conscious or alive in order to end the haunt. It may not be good enough to kill it.
Is it even going to show up if we're not in the courtyard?
Another good question.
And also, we don't know how long this haunt takes to reset.
It's been 24 hours now.
Yeah, over.
Well, then Gulliver will say that he's willing to tear off another giant piece of the curtain that could act like a rope, that he would be willing to climb down and touch the ground and then scurry back up like a scared, or get pulled back up, actually. Mm-hmm. He'll tie it around himself so that someone, Grip,
Hello?
could pull him back up.
Yeah. Love it.
All right.
So, fashion a rope out of curtain,
Yep.
tie it around yourself, and leap down into the courtyard.
Yep.
Almost immediately, amidst the yellow fog, you hear the vroom, 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 vroom to the south, and you hear like, "You shall not harm him!" And Grip's gonna pull him up.
Yes.
Vroom. You get pulled up just as Unicorn comes out of the fog, and Horn passes right underneath your feet, and it vroom, vroom, stares up at that window. "You shall not enter this area!"
Sir Knight, we have come to put Bryn to rest, eternal rest. Your watch is over, good sir. Will you allow us?
Give me a diplomacy check.
25.
A single rainbow tear falls from its right eye, lands on the ground where a flower blossoms briefly.
God.
"My watch is ended,
Yes.
fair maiden, young maiden sweet and kind."
Dora blushes.
It, again, does that sort of like horse bow thing. It like
Yeah,
lowers its
bends
front,
its knee,
bends
yeah.
its knee, and bows down and lets you pass.
Okay, now we just have to worry about the night gaunt, which we did not kill.
Perception checks.
No, it was bleeding, though.
Yeah, but 24 hours ago.
Natural 20.
Great.
Crap.
24.
17.
Okay, great. You don't hear the sound of any wings flapping in the air, and no night gaunt appears.
Could we ask this good knight to watch the sky for us while we try
Why not?
to do honor to brave Sir Bryn. There's a foul thing in the air that might try to stop us, but perhaps you would try to protect us while we perform this sacrament, good sir.
If anyone attempts to defy this ritual, they shall meet doom on the end of my horn.
That's fucking great, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Gulliver is rolling his eyes and looking at this thing like side-eye. He's not saying anything, but he's just like, you...
So the unicorn turns to the north and now faces his head up into the skies, keeping his eyes peeled for the dread night gaunt.
I take these small successes with great joy.
No, it's awesome.
And you make your way down to the south there, and around the corner you do indeed find the very lean and starved-looking body of this beautiful young boy. And a very similar thing happens as you walk around that corner that happened to Dora the other day. Like, this corpse's eyes open, and you see reflected in it a world of magic and wonder, and this figure of this elven woman coming out of a tree reaches towards you, Ray, reaches towards you, Dora, and that's kind of hanging in the air over this corpse as you approach it.
Invite them into the burial.
Who?
The elven woman.
You invite her. Ray is going to look over the body and prepare the body for burial.
Great.
In a way.
Yeah. The body is wearing a very, very fine, highly polished golden ring.
Oh. Detect magic.
It's radiating magic.
$17 on the spellcraft check?
The ring appears to be a ring of sustenance, which allows the wearer to survive indefinitely without food or water.
So clearly, this ring is not what it appears to be, or he would not have died.
Well, we don't... Can I make a heal check to see how he died? I mean, we don't know that he died from starvation, necessarily, right?
Yeah, give me a check.
11.
As you're preparing the body and you're rearranging his patient's gown and that kind of stuff, you do start to see some bruises, and as you investigate a little further, it looks like he was hit repeatedly with maybe clubs or fists, or you can pretty quickly put together some story of maybe he ran afoul of the apostles and they chased him in the corner and beat him to death.
I will remove the ring, and I'm going to share it with Dora. Say this ring that he was wearing is a ring of sustenance. It will sustain someone who's starving. I don't want to leave it here. It's not going to do him any good.
All right.
Then cover the body and perform a ask Gull for. I'll ask Gull for his book of rites.
Well, the Pharasman Book of Rites.
Mm-hmm.
Great. You wanna
Turn
have
past the divorce rites.
Heavily dog-eared.
Dog-eared, yeah.
Gull just looks at him and pulls into his coat and hands it to him.
Yeah. And then Ray performs a short funeral service from the Pharasman tradition, and there is an almost instantaneous shwoomp, like all of the air going out of this space. Had there been a little bit less fog down here, the fog starts to swirl back in, the unicorn vanishes, the corpse's eyes close, and a kind of sense of anticipation or tingle that had been in the air the whole time that you hadn't even really been consciously aware of just pops out of existence. And you took care of that haunt.
Rest in peace.
Get lots of experience for that, right?
So much experience.
Did we level?
And now the way is clear for the apostles in Orpiment to make their way into Dr. Lissandro's office. Where do you go next?
How do we get up to the...
So the doors that you originally took into the northwest corner of the building are only about 60 or 70 feet to the north through the fog from you if you wish to head that way.
Now we want to hug that wall and...
Hug the wall, make your way up.
Yeah.
You manage to make your way up along that wall, and you reach that door that you know will enter to, like, on the other side of that door is where that other wall on the inside was pushed down on top of, was it Grip? It was Grip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to go into Ghoul Land.
That is where the Northwest Tower is.
Fuck. Okay.
Oh,
Ghoul
jeez.
land.
Oh, son of a biscuit eater.
Had a lot of luck today.
All right.
Dora will cast Mage Armor on herself.
Gull will fix up 2 different extracts and drink one.
I'm going to keep my eyes on the sky while that's happening, while he's doing that.
Understood.
Do you have a deflection bonus?
I do not.
You do now. For the next 3 minutes, you have a +2 deflection bonus to AC. I cast Shield of Faith.
Fantastic.
Thank
Burning
you.
through another prayer to Shaylin. When you cast this spell, you have to use that as a component, and it goes up in a creepy thing of flame in your hand when you cast the spell.
Yeah.
A consumable material component.
Yes,
Replaceable?
but he's got, dozens upon
Yeah.
dozens of sheets. But that's the way he is using it, and he seems to be using it that way instinctively.
Yeah.
Any other buffing before we head in?
Yeah, let's do a Wand of Bless around for everyone.
Nice. +1 to attack rolls, +1 to saves versus fear for 1 minute. Who is heading in first?
Probably me.
Probably Grip. All right.
Such a bad place to fight things.
All right, so I will go in first. Who's behind me?
I am.
And then it looks like it is Dora right after Ray, with Gull standing next to her. Grip, you open that door and creak that door open and poke your head around the corner to the left where this hallway extends to the west. Now, you remember the last time you were here, there were some doors to the south behind which you heard a whole bunch of ghouls. Some door to the north behind which Gull heard sounded like maybe ghouls eating people and animals. There was a sound of a fox and sound of a cat and sound of a dog. And right immediately inside this door, that last fight where you got paralyzed, Grip, took place like right inside this door. So as you would expect to find, there is this giant pile of bricks and stone from this wall that the ghouls push down on top of you. And then there are some ghoul corpses there amidst the rubble, and kneeling down in the rubble is a ghoul. And as you open the door, you both sort of catch eyes at the same time. Roll initiative. Grip.
4.
I love it. Dora.
16.
Gull.
21.
Ray.
9.
Paul is holding his hand over his mouth, laughing at my initiative roll. Jackass.
It's just such a great story.
It's great in a confined space when the guy in front of a choke point
Yes.
acts last. That's great and helpful for everybody.
But it also totally makes sense with what happened to the last time you fought ghouls. You were like,
Okay, so
Hi.
Grip and Ghoul catch eyes. Ghoul cocks its head, turns its head backwards and yells, "Clades! Intruders!" And then it stands up.
What the fuck did it
You
say?
mean like 180 degrees turns its head backwards?
It's called out some creature's
Called
name.
out over its shoulder to some creature with the name Clades. Take that as you will. So it's a surprise round. It has to use a move action to stand up. You've got an action here, Grip. And it was very clearly calling towards, and at this point, so there, to the south, there's a hallway going south, then there's a set of double doors going south, and then there's a single door going south. The set of double doors is open at this time, and this ghoul clearly called back towards those doors rather than up towards the north.
Can I take a 5-foot step and attack in this surprise round?
All those squares around where the ghoul is all difficult terrain from the collapsed wall there, so no, you may not. Bullshit. It is horse shit.
Too close to charge.
And you can't charge through difficult terrain as well.
Then I'll just take a 5-foot step this way to at least allow some other people to act.
Okay, taking a step to the north out of the way of that door.
Can you do like full defense or something with your surprise round action?
Can I? Do I need a full round to do full defense? Because if not, I totally will do that.
Total defense is a standard action, plus 4 dodge bonus to your AC. Yeah, you can do that.
Yep, 5-foot step, total defense.
All right, round 1. You hear a howl of rage coming from that room up ahead into the south, and then you hear thwap, 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 the sound of bare feet slapping on what sounds like maybe tile. And you know from Nace's map that the baths and the showers are up here somewhere in this area. So as you put that information together, it's like bare feet running on a like a swimming pool.
The ghouls were having a schwitz.
Yes, they were. And then you see bursting out of the southern door a ghoul almost 8 feet tall, missing most of its right arm, with a hand lashed around its neck by a leather cord. I got some art here for this. Check this out.
Oh. Oh, God.
Good God.
Nope.
The thing's eyes are burning yellow instead of red, and it kind of flexes its muscles, and as you're eyeing it, it's like, no, that thing is probably about as strong as I am. It gives a little playful tug at some of the dead fingers on the hand that's tied around its neck, and it says, "Now we will play." And that's the end of chapter 31. We'll pick up next time. Dark Nexus is a creation of Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, which are used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo Inc. For more information about Paizo's community use policy, please visit paizo.com/communityuse. And for more information about Paizo and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's PAIZO.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Sirenscape. Check them out at sirenscape.com. That's SYRINSCAPE.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music, composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. Special thanks to Toy, without whose generosity this project would not have been possible. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Chris, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Darren, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
Fantastic.
Did we level?
Hello and welcome to the Annabelle H. Godfrey Historic Estate and Museum. Thank you for joining us on the Godfrey's world-famous audio guide. I'll be your host for the duration of your time here at the estate, and look forward to enlightening you as to the history and unique beauty of Annabelle's eclectic collection of art, antiquities, and curiosities. But before we begin, I must go over a few notices and estate rules. Firstly, on the chance that you failed to read the fine print when checking out this audio guide, and are currently standing in the middle of our atrium, waiting for a staff member to come and collect you, this is a self-guided tour. Each audio guide is equipped with a GPS tracking device, which triggers the commentary for the nearest collection item. This provides the dual benefit of a custom experience for you, and helping the Godfrey staff locate unreturned audio guides. Many audio guides are discovered abandoned in dark and seldom traversed corners of the estate, their patrons nowhere to be found. Which leads me to my second point of business. Stay out of the shadows. Thirdly, breaks in commentary as you move between collection items may be filled with historical tidbits about the estate, details about current or upcoming exhibits and offerings, general announcements, or words from our sponsor. Do not be alarmed when these start playing, and no, you cannot mute or skip them. Fourthly, and this should go without saying, do not touch any collection items. This is for your own safety. That's all for now. Shall we begin? The Godfrey Audio Guide is a fiction podcast that blends horror, sci-fi, and art history, both real and imagined, and which guides the listener through the mysterious Godfrey Estate and Museum. Interested in taking the tour? Find the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you at the museum.